Discussions of the fate of Palestinians in Gaza have been upended since President Trump's declaration that the U.S. would take over the Gaza Strip, while the majority of those 2 million Palestinians who used to live there have mostly become refugees. The White House saying Jordan and Egypt could receive those who remain, while Gaza is cleaned out. Director of Policy and Strategic Operations with the U.S. Israel Education Association, E.J. Kimball, is here right now. E.J., thanks for being here. First, how shocking is it to the world of President Trump's plan to take over Gaza?
It's certainly been extremely shocking to the world, but it really shouldn't be. This is par for the course for President Trump when he was the 45th president, when he upended conventional wisdom about how to resolve the Palestinian-Israeli conflict by saying that's not where the conflict has to start. It's got to be with the Arab-Israeli conflict, and that led to the Abraham Accords. And the way that he approaches the Middle East, and quite frankly, the entire world, is looking at the issues from a realist perspective. And he's looking at what's happening in Gaza right now, and Gaza is uninhabitable. People who want to talk about rebuilding it, you can't rebuild this place right now. It is rubble. People who moved back to the north moved back to the south because there is nothing to come back to. Any building that's still there is booby-trapped. So President Trump is looking at this from a realistic perspective and saying, if you really want to help the people living in Gaza, then you've got to get rid of Hamas. You've got to clear that area out so that it could actually be rebuilt. So I actually put this on the world for not being prepared and realizing that President Trump is who he is. He is a disruptor. And that's what he's doing here, and he's calling this out for people.
In terms of how important it would be to normalize relations between the Arabs and Israel, is it important to keep Saudi Arabia happy, or is their rebuke saying they want a Palestinian state kind of expected?
It is kind of expected. Saudi Arabia is sort of the big fish here. Obviously, the Abraham Accords with the United Arab Emirates, Morocco, Bahrain is very important for Israeli-Arab peace, but Saudi Arabia, if they make peace with Israel, the Arab-Israeli conflict is essentially over. And it's very important for, on the Palestinian side, that they've been looking to Saudi Arabia as their main supporter in not having a peace deal with Israel. And that's what the Palestinians keep pointing to make these outrageous demands on Israel, calling for a Palestinian state, even though they aren't willing to live in peace with Israel. I believe that the Saudis are negotiating, just like the Israelis are, just like President Trump is. This is a negotiation about normalization, and where it exactly ends will be part of these conversations that the president will be having with the Saudis in the future.
We saw a warm moment between Speaker Johnson and Prime Minister Netanyahu this week. With the U.S. and Israel more allied than ever, do they make a majority against the Arab world?
Well, I don't view it as much as a majority. This is an important moment for the Arab world to step up and be part of the solution here. You know, when we saw these hostages returned yesterday and the condition that they were in, looking like they had just survived the Holocaust, you know, this is a question for the Red Cross. You know, the International Red Cross, they need to reckon with the reality that they have not done their part, that the world has not made these demands on Hamas. The world, the Arab world, needs to work with the United States, with Israel, to rid that area of Hamas, to give the people who live in Gaza a chance for a better future. And that's how I view this situation. This is about building a realistic alliance to help the people in the region, and not just the people in Gaza, but this is about Israel, the security of them, security of the other countries in the region, to be able to live a positive, productive life.
And bring those hostages home as well. We're seeing video from when Hamas paraded those last 3 men out this week. E.J. Kimball, thank you for being with us on News Nation.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.